Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to today's Raw review and opinions video. So, a difficult Raw to score because we did get a title change. It's not every week you get one of those. Obviously, we had a big championship match at the start as well, but I don't think anyone really felt that Ludwig was going to get the win. So, they did give that match maybe a bit too much time. I feel like they gave it a lot of time and maybe expected a better match in return than what we got. So, yeah, I don't know. The Open was fun with CM Punk and obviously the brawl with Seth. Then, of course, we had a pretty long Intercontinental Championship match. That was fine, but you lot said it was only good 97%. I think it needed to be better than that for the time that they gave it. Then, of course, we had Rhea coming out, announcing herself as the #1 contender. Wasn't really sure how she managed to achieve that. She just sort of came out and went, right, I'm next. EO's had her go. I'm next now. No one's going to really argue with that, but yeah, kind of a little bit head scratching as to how she managed to get herself into that position. Obviously, Seth Punk announced for Netflix. The Raw logo reveal was kind of done earlier in the night, actually. It was done before Raw, technically. So, yeah, we had the triple threat. We had Zoey Stark progressing, which I thought was quite a surprise. And then, of course, the main event with the title change. So, there was only the 3 matches. So we didn't bloat this thing with matches and matches that didn't matter. 2 championship matches, triple threat match, which mattered for the tournament. So all of that is good, checks out. It's just the quality of the matches maybe needed to be a bit better. If you're only going to get 3, you really do need them to deliver maybe a bit more than they did. But one thing I wanted to really focus on is this Seth Drew backstage promo, because I thought Seth made some really excellent points. He was like, you're going after Jay and you're going after Sammy and you're going after the bloodline. But when we brought Roman down, they were standing by my side. They helped to achieve that. I respect them as a result. The jury's out. So that's what he said to Drew, because Drew was trying to get like Seth on his side. I thought he made some excellent points. And why is Drew still not mentioning Solo? It really hurts his argument. It's one thing to hate the bloodline, hate Roman, hate Jay, hate Sammy. But how are you just not going to hate Solo? Solo is the main reason as to why you lost at Clash at the Castle. And is it just because he's a heel and Drew's a heel that he just doesn't want to go after him or something? I don't know. Maybe he sees the head of the snake being Roman. That's fine. Go after Roman then. But you are also going after Sammy. You are also going after Jay. I don't know. Is it because Solo hates Roman right now, and so if you hate Roman, you're in my good books? Is it as simple as that? I do find it a bit strange that he hasn't mentioned Solo, so I just wanted to touch on that because I thought that backstage promo was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed Carrion. People have been talking about the whole Carrion, looking at Paul Ellering. Was there anything to that? I genuinely don't know. I mean, that's the first time we've seen any issue. I did just tweet out, could it be that he knows that, like, Scarlett is a bit of a weakness? If they want to get to Carrion, they can get to him by attacking Scarlett. And he seems to have a lot of love for Paul Ellering. We've seen him get quite angry about the fact Paul Ellering was attacked. So is it the same thing that, like, now Ellering is a weakness for Carrion? Maybe Carrion's starting to think, I don't need weaknesses around. He's not going to get rid of Scarlett, but he can get rid of Paul. Don't know, there was a very interesting look at the end there. Obviously, Miz trying to get away, couldn't. And that set up the match with Dexter next week. So I do feel like there was quite a lot on the show, you know. I do feel like there was a lot of talking points. The matches that we had mattered, but I don't know, it felt like it was lacking like a bit of a moment, even though we did get new tag champs, and that was a really fun moment. Something felt like it was missing. We had Punk, we had star power, we had a title change. I think all in all, this felt like a show to get us from A to B, to be honest. It felt like a show to try and get us away from Saturday night's main event and get us moving towards 2025. There's a lot on this show that's like January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. Maybe that was the problem. Everything felt like it was building to January 6th. And that kind of meant that this show was not skippable or missable. It was a really fun watch, but not essential. And a lot was building towards January 6th. So, yeah, I'm going to score this probably like a 6.5, something like that, 6.75, 6.5, 6.75, something like that. I thought it was good. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I wasn't bored. Loads of talking points. Unseen is just rammed tonight because it's 40-odd minutes long. I'm having to talk a million miles an hour because there's just so many talking points. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So for me, not a bad show. I can't score this a bad show. I think WWE have sort of figured out how to avoid bad shows. Make sure that you've got, you know, things of importance, things that move stories along. Make sure you've got things in there that are talking points. And I think Triple H has got a bit of a system to ensure that he keeps delivering at least like good shows. Because honestly, I can't remember the last time I saw a show that I actively thought was bad, to be honest. I'm going to score this one 6.5, around that kind of range. But I'm very interested to know what you lot thought of this. Let's go into the chat, shall we? So this is from Homer, who says, what if Ludwig Kaiser won the IC title? Well, if this happened, I believe it was thanks to animation domination, where the referee is distracted, using the title, attacking Bron and pinning for the 3. Adam and the animation domination, they are officially signed to the company. Well, it didn't happen. So that is the end of that. No title change in the IC title, but we did get a title change when it came to the tag titles. Jasmine said, no Wyatt 6, I am disappointed. Jasmine also says 5 out of 10 for me. The match was commercials were a bit too long. Brawl segments were entertaining. I liked Rhea called it Dom a chicken tender. Beep. It had me rolling. Penta come in on Raw on Netflix. Yes, that mystery sign. Apparently, word backstage as it is leading to Penta, and he will debut on January 6th. Asim said it was a decent show. Punk and Seth feud. If they drag this out to Mania, maybe SummerSlam could go down as one of the greatest feuds in history of WWE. It was such a fire segment. Rest of the show didn't grab me. I'm thinking like a 5.5. This New Day thing is giving me R-Truth Miz vibes from 2011. Wrestling fans since day one said CM Punk Seth was good. Bron Breakker Ludwig Kaiser was good. But I didn't like the crowds. They were too quiet. Heel doesn't really do it for me. I think they're trying to make Bron Breakker that sort of grey area. Ludwig's definitely heel, but I think they're trying to make Bron Breakker this just sort of out for himself badass. But yeah, maybe if we had a babyface to really get behind, perhaps the crowd would have been a little bit more involved. Liv promo, I would have left that off the show. Zoey versus Raquel versus Kayden was okay. Kayden was trying to be like Jada Parker with that attire she had on. We should all be like a Jada Parker, to be honest. Viking Raiders versus Judgment Day was good, but like I said earlier, heel versus heel doesn't really do it for me. I don't know if Viking Raiders are War Raiders. I don't know that they've come back as heels. Since they've been back without Valhalla and everything, I don't think they're heels. But again, before they went away, they were. So maybe we've not done enough to get that communication across. Raw gets 5.5, but the stream was 10 out of 10. I don't like when they show SmackDown Superstar videos on Raw. And Daze, real quick, name your top picks for Raw and SmackDown draft picks. Tag teams count as one. Have a good night, my friends. Well, to be honest, I would put a lot of the big names over on Raw. So, you know, your Punks, your Romans, your Codys. I mean, I'd put a lot of them over there. And then I would look to make SmackDown a bit of a different show. You're still going to need to have some sort of star power. So I don't know if a Charlotte's left over or if a Drew's left over or, you know, a Randy's left over, or there's going to be some big names left over. We've got too many big names to just put onto one show. Seems like Gunther is going to go to SmackDown, for example, but I don't know, if you was to have Andrade and Gunther and maybe Bron Breakker, or maybe Bron Breakker stays on Netflix and perhaps, you know, we get Carrion going over to SmackDown. I mean, could you imagine that? Imagine building like 6, 7, 8 names, putting them into a men's singles division. You know, imagine a feud for the title involving Gunther, Carrion. You've got Andrade in the mix as well. Maybe Rey Mysterio goes over. Like, you could do some really interesting stuff away from your typical Romans, Codys, those kind of people, you know. So I feel like we'll see something similar to that, with Raw being just big star power, and maybe SmackDown once again being the land of opportunity. Whenever they go with stars a little lower down, they tend to put them on SmackDown. They tend to call it the land of opportunity, but it does work. It normally results in that show being a banging show. I mean, look at how great Andrade Carmelo matches have been. Been really good. So, you know, you could do more of that. Maybe Carmelo on SmackDown, you know. And as we said, the big names going over to Raw. Maria said it was great. Emmanuel said, sadly, I knew War Raiders were going to win. Now Liv is undoubtedly the best in the Judgment Day. I'm convinced the zero was Penta. So Penta, like everyone says Emmanuel. Norma said it was good tonight. Q Hicks said, I keep seeing and even shared a zero meme, but I've got to be honest, who? Also, the show was 9. A lot of story building and new champs. Also, I'm on Kaiser watch for 2025. Well, we think it's Penta from AEW, and actually there is words that that's what people backstage are thinking. No confirmation. No one seems to know 100% categorically, but Penta is the name. Carl said it was all right. What we got was decent, but it felt like a giant ad for Netflix with some Raw mixed in. Liv spoke facts when she said no one cares what you have to say to Rhea, and we finally have better tag champs. PFC not only existing but also taking out Kairi. I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, big trouble. Big trouble. I don't want to be in big trouble. Okay. Yeah, I mean, PFC making things happen. Timothy said 9 out of 10. I hope we find out what this means. Thank God we have new tag team champs, says Timmy Thompson Warrior. Nando said, I thought the show was cool. I liked the opening promo and Seth's response to Drew. IC title match was fine. I thought Rey being called the locker room leader was interesting, although it makes sense. Kayden showed out and Kairi was selling her ass off in that backstage segment. Briggsy said, was an alright show. I'm going to go 4.5. Matches were good, but disappointed that we didn't see the Wyatt 6. Really liked Punk, Seth, Drew segments. Decent show. J-Star said, nice. Watson said, I'm still not a big fan of the stuff going on with the New Day. Just a bit of fantasy booking. Maybe Trick gets called up after he loses the title. And he says to the New Day that they were his inspiration and that he's disappointed in them. Trick with Big E as his manager against Kofi or Xavier. Could be fun. We do also have like a couple of people coming through. You've got OTM. You've got Tyrese and Tyreek. You know, I could understand Big E going down, finding a black tag team. It doesn't have to be a black tag team, but I think that Big E, whilst he's been away, did a whole thing about a whole short about like black history, and I could understand him going and trying to help other black superstars coming through. We know that the history in WWE for black superstars is not as decorated as it should have been. So without making this like anything to do with race, I could understand him going and plucking some people from NXT, like you're saying with Trick. But there are some tag teams that he could go and get as well. So I don't know. I really don't know where the Big E situation is leading. I mean, I would love to think that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble and he's going to confront Kofi or he's going to confront Xavier, but I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to do that. I'd love for him to do that, but we don't know that he's cleared. So could it be that he's going to be a manager? Something like that. I like Rey standing up to the New Day saying, listen, you know, you crossed the line. I think you crossed the line. A lot of people in there think you crossed the line. And it's interesting seeing the New Day being kind of pushed out, you know. They're outsiders now. And I'm very interested to see where that's going to lead for them. At Mackenzie said 7. I'm glad the War Raiders won. It's the first title since the 2020 Raw on Netflix is stacked. Okay, hang on. It's their first title since 2020. Raw on Netflix is stacked. I wonder how they will fit it all into 3 hours. Logo is Penta, said Mackenzie. Jeremy said, great show. Awesome promo battle between Punk and Seth. So glad the War Raiders for winning the tag titles, considering the injuries they had to endure. The only drawback is this Liv Rhea feud just doesn't want to end. Brady said, I'm excited to see Dexter versus Miz next week. I wonder if the 6 in the background means anything, or if it's just a random 6 on some backstage equipment. Well, you know me, I always tend to lean towards the more likely option, which I think would be that it's just a 6 in the background. But it's interesting, and I'm glad that I'm aware of it, but I'm not getting carried away with it. Raymond said, Daze, I thought Raw was good, like it was a good episode of Raw, and I did enjoy seeing Final Testament and Cross, and the Seth Punk brawl was great, so I'm going to rate it a 9 for me. Shout out to you, buds. Uncle Revel said 3 matches says it all, and they were not even great matches at that. Seth and CM Punk was fun, but nothing amazing. War Raiders winning the titles is okay, but I've never been invested in them, so I'm giving it a 5. Saturday night's main event seemed to take a lot of steam out of this week. Well, talking of match scores, Bron versus Ludwig, good 97%. Raquel, Kayden, Zoey, good 88%. And then Judgment Day versus War Raiders, great 66%. So main event absolutely stole the matches. That middle match, much below where we wanted to be. But yeah, you know, definitely an area that could have been improved. El Patata said, PFC attack damage control, but in a 3v1. I love it. Same Punk Rollins, Liv Rhea, Priest Balor. I love it. New Day came and did nothing. I love it. Howdy's Revelation. I loved it. Show felt like an hour or less. Rating 2 out of 10. At least give us Akira. So, yeah. Seems like there's a few things there that Al Patata had a few issues with. Nishi said, I love the show. Kaiser is going to be one of the kings of the mid-card in 2025. It's heartening to hear that pop for the War Raiders, and I'm so happy that they won. They are big, strong, and athletic. Seth was stronger today in his War of Words. Tony said, sadly, I think this Raw was meh. I didn't even watch it. I just listened to it in the background. The only thing that kept my attention was Seth and CM Punk. Noticing behind Carrion that there was a 6 on a bleacher chair behind him, 4.5. Jay Wyatt said, if you took 1 to 2 minutes out of each segment or match tonight, you would have had more than enough time for a Wyatt 6 promo. I'm sick and tired of WWE not showing them. Well, obviously, I think a lot of these came through before the Raw Talk thing, and honestly, I do wonder if WWE is using them as a way to just boost Raw ratings. We haven't been using them on PLEs. We've only been using them on Raw. So a way of like boosting Raw ratings. But even on weeks where they aren't on the show, they tend to use them in some way on Raw Talk. So I've got to the point now where if I don't see them on Raw at all, nothing, then I do stick around for Raw Talk thinking there is a good chance we could get something, and that has paid off for me a few times now. So we did get, and it was really good as well. Dexter actually speaking. I wonder if people's scores would have increased knowing that we did get that promo on Raw Talk. I wonder if that would have changed anyone's minds. People might still be upset that it wasn't on Raw, but we did get something. Dean said, Raw was good. I knew we were going to get new tag champs. I'm glad that Zoey got the win. Thought there might have been something for the Wyatt 6, even if it was a video package. Good stream, and I will see you Friday's stream, said Dean. It's all day. SEN said, Raw was very good tonight. I really enjoyed tonight's show. War Raiders deserved the World Tag Team Championships, and they got them. And the Raw Netflix premiere is going to be so special. Joseph 6 said it felt amazing to see the Judgment Day drop the titles that never got defended. Each tense we got of Punk and Seth makes me always want more. No complaints other than Raw felt pretty norm. I would give it a 7.5. No, 7.8. Hopefully nothing gets spoiled for next week. I'm sure it will. Richard Jr. said that was an awesome Raw, 10 out of 10. Hopefully it gets a lot of good ratings. Damian Priest versus Finn Balor at Royal Rumble 2025 has to be confirmed. It could be official. And she said, unfortunately, Raw doesn't start for another 49 minutes, but I just wanted to say hi. After the day I've had, escaping reality for 2 hours will be great. Hope you have a good rest of your night, Angie. Hope you enjoy Raw, my friends. Bit of a mixed bag in the comments, judging by it. Let's see what Chris has got to say, then have a look at the scores. Daze wasn't a Raw to write home about. At least there were a few talking points. I'm going to go 625. Oh, you and me, we're pretty close. We're neighbours. So many adverts. I'm looking forward to The Miz versus Dexter. Maybe not, though. Did they even announce the match? On Raw Talk, they did, yeah. Hoping to avoid spoilers coming up. Hopefully you will too, Daze. Chris, shout out to you, my friends. Well, do you know what? Bit of a mixed bag, but actually tonight, I'm pleased to report, and I am pleased to report, that more people enjoyed it than didn't. So we've had 129 votes. 6% said it was all time. 68% said it was great. 24% said it was good or okay. 2% said it was bad. So, you know, much better. And actually, Saturday night's main event's got a little closer as well since we last looked. That was a little wider before, but that's got even closer with a few more people leaning to great. So that's good. Well, it is good. And this one is great. So people seem to enjoy this more than not. Even though there was quite a few comments from people that weren't quite feeling it. SmackDown didn't do that well on Friday. Distinctly average. NXT did all right. Last week's Raw was a bit of a struggle. But at least this week's Raw, quite comfortably in the great range. So there we go. Wonderful. So thanks a lot for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for the support as always, my friends. And I will see you again next time. Bye for now.